Rich Ricci's with us. Rich, you know, we're looking at Vautour. I was looking at you during that, and you could have shed a tear, couldn't you?
Yeah, it's a lovely tribute. Thank you very much for doing that. He was a hell of a horse, no doubt about it. It's very sad.
So, as far as we're aware, this was just something freakish that could happen to any horse at any time.
You know, first of all, can I just say, before we start, just thank you to everybody who's just expressed so many kind words. Everybody in racing, Paul Nichols, David Pipe, Giraffe Williams, Nicky Henderson, you name it. Everybody across the board has been so kind. Eddie O'Leary, Graham Wiley, everybody you can think of have been so very kind. So thank you very much for all the kind words. You know, you sit here and you think, God, all those races, the fall at Aintree, all the galloping, all that training, and, you know, he dies in the field, you know, with nothing going on. It's just one of those freak things. We don't know what happened. You know, we kept him outside this year because he's a big, stuffy, gross type of a horse, and you know, we took a decision this year to keep more outside, clean air, and he's been thriving. So outside during the day, inside in the evening, and they went down to give him his food last night, and they found him lying on the ground. So we don't know, did he give it a bang? Don't know what happened, but it's sad. And my heart really went out to Willie because it's not an easy phone call to make. And
tell us how that happened. So this is what happened
Sunday afternoon.
You've had Sunday lunch or whatever, and you're sat at home. And,
I'm watching at the races. I was watching the Cork and Naas racing,
course, yeah.
And you know, Willie and I are in communication a lot. And when he calls me, he doesn't call me on a Sunday afternoon unless it's one of two things: either he's seen something in a toy that he wants me to buy, or it's bad news on a horse. And I saw the phone ring, and I let it ring 3 times. I just didn't have the best feeling about it, and I picked it up, and he just said, look, it's very bad, and was very straightforward. And when you hear news like that, you know, you immediately kind of start to reel a bit and get your head around it. But as I said, I was watching at the races, and just serendipitously, I just looked up and saw Gary O'Brien interviewing Robbie McNamara, who was so elegant and articulate in describing what he'd been through and the journey that Freddie Talicki faces. And I immediately was okay. You know, it's sad to lose a horse, but in the context of that and what's happened to people like JT and other people in our game, it's just, it's okay. It's not great, it's sad, but if you put it in that kind of context, God, it's nothing.
And I was just thinking, actually, with your opening words, the fact that the people who are anti our game always say it's a cruel game, you know, horses can die when they're racing. But Vautour's story is the classic example that a horse is a horse. Yes. And a human is a human. You know, they can die doing anything. And this horse wasn't racing. He was a racehorse, but he's actually stuck in the field, which is where all the people who don't want horse racing want to stick horses, just out in fields. So it really just on a completely different level, just shows you that it's just that kind of thing. Let's look. It's bad.
Yep.
No one's happy. your memories of Vautour. I was saying earlier, the thing that grabbed me about him was how he just came alive at the only place that matters.
Yes, he was extraordinary. And, just looking back at some of that footage in Ireland, and then looking back today at some of the tapes of his Cheltenham festivals, I have them all. He was extraordinary there, wasn't he? It was just, he was a sight to see. And I'll never forget that JLT run. That was just something to behold. And we never had him. The thing that I'll remember is, of course, all those great days. But what's sad for the sport is I never thought we got to the bottom of him, that we really saw him tap all that potential that he had. Because last year, and we can talk about last year if you want, last year he didn't show it at all throughout the season. And, he ironically, he worked brilliantly on Saturday morning. And Willie was saying that it was the first kind of flash of brilliance that he had shown since 2 years ago before that JLT run. So while all those are great memories, that what's sad for the sport, I think, and for Willie and for us, is the fact that we never really got to tap into that maximum potential.
I read a feature Ruby Walsh did in the Racing Post recently where he said that if he had trained Vautour, he wouldn't have run at the Cheltenham Festival. He was working that. I mean, was he really like a tortoise?
He wasn't great all year long. He wasn't in the rudest of health. He didn't get good scopes. He wasn't clear breathing and clean breathing. It was just one of those years. It was a very idle campaign. And, when what I refer to as Vautourgate happened, I meant what I said when I said that if he wasn't right, he wouldn't run. We hadn't talked all year about him running in any other race. I know when I said it, you gave me the opportunity afterwards to say, did I want to change my thoughts at a preview night about what I had said the previous night? And I didn't, because that's what I really believed. And just thinking that how could a horse who's not working that well come and perform anywhere near that level at Cheltenham? And of course he did. And, we think that, gosh, maybe he should have run in the Gold Cup. But boy, it was a good performance in the day. But still, 2.5 miles isn't 3 miles too. And I did have a chance to catch up with Willie, because he had said, after I had said that, he would run there, he wouldn't run at all, that he thought he'd run a big race in the Gold Cup. And I asked him, away from the heat of the action, earlier in the summer, I just said, look, we kind of screwed that up a bit. We should learn some lessons from it, but we never talked about him running in any other race. And in Willie's own way, he said to me, yeah, but we never didn't talk about it. So I think we were probably communicating with the media instead of with each other about what had happened. So we won't make the same mistake again. And unfortunately, we won't have that debate about Vautour. But heading into the season, I would have said he was a Ryanair horse unless he had demonstrated to us he was able for the Gold Cup.
Well, he was a champion chase horse, as you know. But anyway, he could have run in the Ryanair. But going back to that race, though, when he crossed the line in the Ryanair, I mean, if I'd been you, my first thought would have been, we have so got this wrong. This horse should have been in the Gold Cup the next day. Or 2 days. You
don't know, but I don't know if you remember my reaction when I was interviewed. I said, they said, aren't you elated? And I said, well, kind of yes and no. It's great to have a winner, but maybe you should have run in the Gold Cup. It was sort of my reaction as well. And, sure, we'll never know. And, again, it wasn't the best experience for punters, which we've apologized for, and try to do the right thing in my own
Has it made you feel that, tonight, for instance, are you in the back of your mind thinking, I shouldn't be quite as adamant about anything?
No.
Good.
Not at all. Because I feel, and as I said at the time, if you want people to be open and honest and not just have the old vanilla fluff and all the old cliches around what's going to happen, you're going to have to accept there's some error in the communication. We're going to get some things wrong. But in my own view, and I've always been this way, whether it's in business or in this game or anything else, that if you've got an opinion and you think you're right in saying something, you should say it. And sometimes you're going to get it wrong, but if you're consistently honest and forthright, you'll be right more times than you are wrong, and hopefully people will accept that.
So by the end of March, on the back of this one show, we could have Faheen Gate, Annie Power Gate, Vroom Vroom Mag Gate.
Well, we'll see.
You'll be hoping for a gate to open, I suspect, if it just carries on like that.
Yeah, there's lots of gates opportunity. But, listen, this is going to be a long season in terms of some of those ones you named. But yeah. I'm sure we'll come to that.
Longshot Scott, who obviously likes long shots, says brilliant to hear from Richie on the show, and class act, says Robert Pugh, Rich Ricci. We're just sticking with Vautour. Just finally, before we're to go for a break in a sec, there was always that thing, Vautour or Faheen, and that it could have gone the other way, couldn't it? Vautour could be a champion hurdler now, and Faheen could be a top chaser.
That's absolutely right. I remember Willie is brilliant, and Willie is a man of many, many options, incredible talent, but likes to keep his options open. And I remember we'd had this conversation, and every year I go down to Woody's yard and we have a chat about plans for the upcoming season. They're all, sort of penciling in plans, but it's always interesting. And I thought we had decided that Victor would go chasing and Faheen was going to hurdle. And we're sitting around the kitchen table, and I'm going through my list, and I said, Victor chasing, Faheen will stay hurdling. He said, no, other way around. Yeah. And we had a big row, and both of us stormed out and came back and said, okay, we'll keep it the way it is. And absolutely could be the other way around. But luckily it wasn't, because they both did brilliantly at what the chosen path was.
That's Vertor. We're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to talk to Rich about all sorts of things, like, Annie Power and Faheen. Would they both be in a champion chase? After all, you've done everything you can. Champion hurdle. Sorry, well, they could both in champion chase, actually. But no, you've done everything you can to keep them apart. They could both be in a Gold Cup. Crikey, Rich, that would be a bombshell to produce on the show. And we'll talk to him about Jigginstown. They didn't leave because of you, did they?
I certainly hope not. They're friends of mine. I wouldn't think they would have.
Well, we'll find out after this.
Sponsored by Bet365.
This Dyson cord free format transforms the way you clean. With a light but powerful Dyson digital motor, it adapts easily to tackle jobs here, pretty much anywhere. In just a few simple clicks. Twice the suction of any other cordless vacuum.
Wouldn't it be easier to make better choices if all the choices were great? Introducing the Ioniq from Hyundai, the first car to offer you the choice of 3 electrified powertrains: hybrid, plug-in hybrid and electric. One car, 3 great choices. Ioniq from Hyundai. New thinking, new possibilities.
1, 2, 3. My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it like I wanna rock you.
I'm getting used to those funny things you do, like how you give me marks out of 10 for my tea-making skills. And it still does my head in how you leave beard hair all over the sink and always fix your bike in the kitchen. I know there's nothing romantic about washing tins for the recycling or sorting out the timer for the heating. But I never get bored of hearing your keys coming in, or how I know it's your mum on the phone just by your voice when she rings. There's still things that need fixing here, there always is, but there's no one I'd rather change light bulbs with. So on my parents' leftover sofa, you look at me the same way you did, remembering when this place was just a bare box room, and we built it.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Welcome back. It's On the Line. Rich, Jigginstown have gone. Does that make any difference to you? Do you get more choice of horses and things like that, or is it just annoying for Willie?
No, I think they have their own way of doing things, and I've got my own way of doing things. Willie has his own way of doing things. They've always been very kind to me. I've always enjoyed them being in the yard. They've been great for the yard. They're hugely important to Irish racing. I thought it was a shame they left. But that's between them and Willie. That's got nothing to do with us. They tend to buy a lot of their horses and send them to their trainers, whereas maybe Willie bought for his other owners, directly rather than taking them in from people like that who buy them themselves. Eddie O'Leary is a great judge. So, but no, it's a shame for Willie, and it's a blow, and I'll miss them in the yard. But I look forward to having the usual banter with them. They are really good fun, and as I say, they're hugely important to Irish racing.
One of the look, I don't know all the ins and outs of why they left, but I know a little bit about how you operate with Willie, which presumably means that they might operate in the opposite fashion, in that you're very much someone who kind of just does accept that Willie's the trainer, and if Willie says something has happened, you sort of kind of take it. Is that right? And whereas, as far as I'm aware, Jigginstown are more people who might say to Willie, let's do this, and if Willie disagreed, then there's a fight.
I think, yeah, well, maybe. I mean, Jigginstown certainly know a lot more about horses than I would, particularly Eddie and Michael as well. With Willie, the way we operate is my view has been, he's the trainer, he sees the horses every day, whereas I've always said, where we kind of come into the frame is maybe in race planning. But in terms of the training every day and what that involves, and what kind of feed they should be on and what distance they're going to run, I leave that down to him. I'm happy to throw in arguments for debate, and Willie's, he listens and then tells me I'm all wrong. No, he listens and considers. But at the end of the day, you're paying him to train the horses, and that's what you want to do. That's our philosophy anyway. Others might feel differently.
But coming back to the Vautour thing then, who would have had would Willie have come to you and said, we're going for the Ryanair, Rich, and you're running in the race, or would you have said to Willie, what do you think about the Ryanair now, because the horse is working badly?
Well, when he came back and said, we're going to run on the Ryanair, he did that on the basis. He said, look, I've been telling you all along this horse is not working well. We're going to run him. We're going to take our chance, but there's no way he'd win a Gold Cup with the form he's showing at home, so this is where we have to go, and you've got to accept it at that stage.
Yeah. Okay. And so Jigginstown, I mean, Willie, for me, obviously it's been a terrible week, and we don't want to kick him when he's slightly down at the moment, but he started quietly this season, hasn't he? I mean, do you think that's down to the ground and the fact that there's just... Whereas Gordon Elliott is just sort of running anything, anywhere. I mean, Don Poley ran the other day on ground that I don't think Willie might have run him on, for instance. Horses are going everywhere. Elliott's in the news every minute, and there aren't that many Mullins runners.
But if you look back historically, and I've been with Willie since 2005, if you look back historically, these months are always quiet. I think he had. There's something in the paper on the weekend. You were in California, in some orange grove by that tan of yours, apparently. But the
You're laughing at your own joke there.
I am, yeah, actually quite clever.
That's how the viewers are.
I saw the sunglasses on. I keep wanting to say the future is bright, the future is orange. But the thing about October is it's always a quiet month. I think Willie had 18 or 19 winners last year, 18 or 19 the year before, 20 the year before that. Yeah. It's always a quiet period. We don't really get going until November, much to my frustration because, October's such an exciting month and you see all these other horses coming out and you're desperate for yours to get out there. But, I understand how the yard works and I'm absolutely fine with that.
You've made some terrible decisions over the years. You have made some terrible decisions.
Coming on the show comes to mind. Go on. Yeah. Go on.
There's just no need for that.
Sorry.
This is not a privilege and an honour just by the Twitter response.
We've had this in the diary since like June.
Loads of trainers and owners would love to get the chance to what you've had. You've been described as Lord Ricci just here by Jordan. Surely just around the corner. But anyway, awful decisions. Annie Parr denied a chance to be a champion hurdler because of that ridiculous world hurdle decision. Vautour should have been in the champion chase, as you well know. This season, Fahine and Annie Parr, you could make some terrible decisions with those two horses. They are both champion hurdlers. They should both be surely given the chance to win the champion hurdle. And if that means they both run in the race, let's see which one's the better one, Rich. Why should we be denied that race just because you own them both?
It's a very good point. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of argument and angst over it. It's funny. I was talking to Willie about it on Friday, and we were talking about, if you've got a chance, the World Hurdle is a great race, but the Champion Hurdle is the Champion Hurdle. If you've got a chance to win the Champion Hurdle, how would you feel if Annie Power stumbles at something or puts a foot wrong and then ends up losing by a nose and he didn't run Fahine in the race? Yep. How would you feel about it? And I think that's a legitimate question, but I would also say that, as an owner, maybe there is a legitimate case to say that you can keep them apart if you have a chance to win another champion race. And not saying that's the case, but we have to evaluate it during the season. First of all, we got to get them both there. Yep. And that's been trouble the last couple of years. So hopefully we'll have that problem to fight over.
Yeah. There's no Fahine chasing never come into the equation with him. He is a hurdler for the rest of his life till he retires, yeah?
Well, he's 8, rising 9, so we're not going to go chasing. No.
Okay. And Annie Power, again?
My wife will have none of that. No, absolutely. I mean, it was... She, in fairness to Susanna, she wanted to retire the horse for this season. But we managed to persuade her that the horse loves racing. But she really does, Annie Power. She just absolutely loves it and thrives on it. And it would be good to get another season or 2 out of her. So, but no chasing.
Because it's, I mean, look, all of us understand it would be so easy to step one of these 2 up. Because Faheen's bred to be a Gold Cup horse. And Annie Power, we know, has gone close to winning a World Hurdle. So her class is going to always, 2 out in the World Hurdle, she's always going to be cruising.
And she was very keen in that race.
Yeah. So she might be able to do it. But she's a facile champion hurdler, Rich. She's got to go and try and retain her crown. How many mares retain their crowns in the champion hurdle?
0. There's never been a champion hurdle winner who's won it more than once.
And what happens if, God forbid, Faheen does fall at the first, or Annie Power fell at the second or something, and you've chucked the other one in the World Hurdle, which, you know, we all know the World Hurdle is a big race, but there are only 3, as you've said, championship races.
Well, that's the risk you're on, I suppose, and that's the debate that needs to be had.
But we slightly feel, and you can tell us whether we're right or wrong here, that Willie, and there's nothing wrong with this, because this is Willie's job, he would do anything to keep them apart, surely.
Oh, I don't think so. I just told you what I think.
But he always thinks about, but he always doesn't he always think about winning races rather than taking part in races? It's about winning at the Cheltenham Festival.
No, of course he does. And so how would that factor into keeping them apart? If he really wants to win that champion,
you could run Annie Power in the mares.
Why don't you fire 2 guns? I don't think Annie Power would drop back into the mares. Can't see it.
One person you can never ask is Ruby Walsh. I mean, he will tell you till the day before that they should, you know, Annie Power. Rich, I think you should run her in the mares.
If something happened, if something happened where she really struggled and didn't run all season, and God forbid that happens, but I don't want to frighten viewers. That's certainly not in the cards, and she's absolutely fine. But if something happened and that was the only race you could kind of get ready for, then maybe you would. But I think if all things being equal, no, she's a championship race type horse.
In the whole discussion, we've slightly forgotten, and I know it's been written about a little bit in the papers the last few weeks, obviously people checking up, but Thotor was injured. I mean, he's been injured. I mean, is he absolutely A1 at this minute? Is he...
Faheen.
Faheen, yeah. That's what I said, yeah.
Faheen's fine. I mean, Willie wrote in his column, he's had a couple of niggles. He's absolutely fine. He might be a little behind the others, but, you know, you can catch up pretty quickly if you can get out there and do some fast work. He's absolutely fine, and what Willie's been clear on, and I completely agree with him, is that we'll have... Faheen, Annie Power, and Vroom Vroom Mag entered in all the big hurdle races, and I'd imagine Vroom Vroom Mag also be in some of the big chase races. And we'll see who the most forward is at any given time to see who's going to run. Yeah. But I don't think you'll see them taking each other on before Cheltenham, that's for sure. Because
this is the greatest hurdler I believe I've ever seen. And I know there'll be people
The ratings would support you, actually. He's tied with Istabrack.
Well, there'll be people screaming at the screen saying, Istabrack, see you then, etc., etc. And, of course, you can reel out any name you like. It's just an opinion. But I genuinely... That run in that... in fact, not at Cheltenham. It was the Irish champion.
The Irish champion hurdle last year was spectacular, wasn't it? Yeah. No, it was...
Leopardstown, sorry.
Yeah, spectacular.
Absolutely different. I mean, this is one of the greatest horses we will ever see jumping. Ever.
Yes, I mean, it's a shame he got beat in the one race that he did get beat in by Nichols Canyon. But he has been a dream to own. You know, he was injured in his first season, but other than that, he's avoided injuries. It was a shame he had to miss Cheltenham last year. But yes, I mean, he on his day, wow, and that was his day, wasn't it? I've never seen him run better than that day. That was extraordinary.
But Annie would get an mare's allowance.
Yep.
And she was equally brilliant in a probably substandard champion. Well, it was substandard. I know you won it, but it wasn't a very good race, was it?
I don't know. I mean, she was brilliant at Aintree. You know, if you say Faheen's best run might have been at Leopardstown, Annie Power's run at Aintree was spectacular.
Yes.
I thought.
Yeah. My 10 till yours, 18 lengths.
Now, granted, he was stepping up in trip, but I mean, it was spectacular. Her performance that day.
If you wouldn't have been sure that Faheen would have beaten her at Aintree, even though he would obviously stay 2.5, but you wouldn't have been.
She was good that day.
On that performance,
yeah,
you couldn't have guaranteed it, could you?
No, she was brilliant that day.
Yeah. It's tricky. So basically, what? We just keep them apart. Are you going to start? Please don't tell me you're going to start either of these over 2.5 miles.
I think that we'll have one.
You are going to.
Well, we'll have one for the Morgiana, and.
But you're giving Willie the excuse, Rich. Already, it goes and wins 2.5. You've given Willie the ammunition to keep her.
he's the one that wants to run them against each other in the champion hurdle. That's what I was just telling you. God, are you not listening?
I know, but I can just...
I feel like one of your callers.
I don't... If you were, I'd have hung up on you.
Yeah.
But I just don't believe it. I know Willie Mullins a little bit. He wants to win races.
Of course he does.
He doesn't want these two running together.
We'll have to see. Look, again, you've got in Ireland, you've got the Morgiana, then you've got the Hatton's Grace, which is that lovely weekend of Grade 1s up at Ferryhouse. Then you've got the Christmas Hurdle, which is back to 2 miles. I'm sure we'll sort it out between the three of them.
Well, he'd go to Kempton, would he? Would he go Boxing Day, that kind of thing, whatever it is?
Potentially. He's done that 2 years in a row. Annie Power could go there. One of them could stay home for the Christmas Hurdle in Ireland.
Okay. So, let's wrap this up. Let's have Faheen Gate and Annie Power Gate right now. Come March, will these two be together in the Champion Hurdle? If everything goes to plan, Rich?
That's a debate that we have to have. Where I am today is I say no.
You're saying...
I would rather keep them apart and run different races. But if that's what is meant to be, then that's what's meant to be. We'll have the debate later on. It's hard to say now. As I said, we've got to get them both there. You never have no idea what form they're going to be in. You say both things being equal.
You sound like a man who might change his mind 3 days before. You've done that before, haven't you? It's like you sound like a man who on the Tuesday will be saying, oh, God, he's taken it out the morning before.
Yes. Well...
Okay, you haven't learned.
I'm trying to be truthful with you.
No, okay. Well, we'll leave it there. Let's bring Vroom Vroom Mag into the mix.
Yeah,
because she's sensational, and I said this before the race. So it's not after time. She was absolutely the banker of Cheltenham at a reasonable price because she wasn't sort of tens on or anything. She is really good, and I don't know what she's best at.
I mean, the way she won the hurdle at Punchestown over 2 miles was extraordinary to me because. You know, we thought she was a staying sort of chaser, needed a trip. My God, she was good that day. She was very, very quick. Identity thief, absolutely no slouch there. And, it was brilliant. I'm not sure. She's sort of the super mare. She can do anything. She's won over fences, I think, at anywhere from 2 to 3 miles. She's won over hurdles. She's a brilliant jumper of a fence. She could go back and chase. She is our super sub. And we may ask her some questions we weren't thinking of asking her now with the demise of Port Vautour.
What questions?
Well, would we take her back chasing? You know, she's entering the King George. That's a possibility.
I mean, I see her... I know it's not all about money for you because you understand National Hunt racing is not all about money, but I almost see her like a cash point machine, that she's kind of one that can pay for lots of other training fees because she can run in... lots of graded chases and hurdles if they're small fields, and she's just going to mop them up all the way to Cheltenham. And kind of you just know you'll win the Mayor's Hurdle. If she's in the Mayor's Hurdle at Cheltenham, she will win it. As long as Annie Power's not in it.
I don't know what else is coming out this season that I've seen.
Well, only you will have a better mare than Vroom Vroom Mag.
I don't know about that.
Well, you may not know, but at least I know. Only you could have a better mare than
We've been
Vroom
very
Vroom
lucky with our mares, but there's some... Nikki Henderson's great with a mare. There's lots of good mares around. But the thing that with her, it's not so much about hoovering up money. I think she plays a brilliant role in that she's so adaptable in terms of trip, in terms of ground, that it's nice to have that sort of go-to.
But that's what I mean.
Super subs.
Willie can look at the entries
sort of person.
Because you know how many of those graded races in Ireland have 2 or 3, 4, 5 runners to the thing.
Oh, they've changed the program this year. They really have. They've altered it quite significantly in order to try to get these horses to take each other on more frequently, which is a good thing for racing.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll see those small fields as often once the season gets going proper.
So she's fabulous, but we don't quite know. But she could be in a King George. The horse that everyone wants to know about is Douvan, who just, again, he's a bit like all of these. He could do anything. What is he going to do? Let's have Douvan Gate.
I think with Douvan, he, again, another spectacular horse, a joy to own, has done nothing wrong since he's been with us. He's just been extraordinary.
Well, Willie's on record as saying this is the best horse he's ever trained, isn't he? Potentially.
He has. That's right. And he's done nothing to disprove that so far. He does everything so effortlessly. I would say that before any of this happened on the weekend, we would have been saying he'll stay over 2 miles this year, be entered in the 3 mile stuff for the optionality, but more likely stay over 2 miles, maybe step him up and trip next year, maybe go for a King George as a sub if something happened to Tour, which has happened, and Vroom Vroom Mag wasn't there. We'll have to see. He would need a run before he goes and does that. He's only a second season novice. So that's a big ask. But I think that, clearly he's a champion chase contender. But we'll have to see how the season pans out. But I think right now you'd say he'll stick to 2 miles, maybe step up a trip for something like the King George. But a Cheltenham target would most likely be probably the champion chase.
What I'm going to say now will probably irritate you. Is there any chance that we see this horse and it looks like a monster, yeah? We can all see that. Jumps brilliantly, it tanks round, it wins everything on the bridle. Is there any chance that what it's running against is not very good, though? He beat the Game Changer twice last season. And, in fact, he beat him 3 times in a row. The Game Changer, according to my information, which is here in front of me on the computer screen, has run 5 times since Dovan beat him 3 times, and has been beaten 36 lengths by Kyle Crew, 12.5 by Ballycasey, your horse, and you know Duvan's in a different league to Bally, 7 3/4 by Hidden Soakline in a rated hurdle, and was then beaten 4.5 lengths, second of 5 behind Tell Us More in a Grade 3 at Naas. Is there any chance that the form of him is rubbish? But he's just visually impressive.
I suppose that's possible, but you can only
beat what's in front of you.
Beat what's in the race, and maybe he scared some of them off. Maybe that class last year wasn't brilliant. I don't know, but certainly the way he won his races would lead you to believe that he is something special. And I also know what he works against at home, and
not Votor,
and how well he does against those horses.
Yeah. I mean, he beat Shane Hill, of course, at Cheltenham in the novice hurdle, and Shane Hill's a pretty decent Grade 1 winner. So no, I'm throwing that in just because you could argue he's not actually beaten anything over chases that's worthy of.
Maybe he scared them away. They weren't great renewals. I'd give you that.
So what do we feel his best trip is? What's Willie telling you about trip?
Ooh, I don't see any reason to take him away from 2 miles at the moment. I mean, he certainly covers that. He's bred to go up and trip.
Do you think he'll start over 2.5?
Possibly, but I imagine it depends. The problem we have at the moment in Ireland, as you know, is the rain, and so you might be forced down a path you wouldn't normally be if the rain comes at the wrong time. But I would think we'd probably try and find a 2 mile race for him.
A 2 mile to start off with. Yeah. Because it's interesting, isn't it? Because normally a horse like him, you'd be thinking of a Tingle Creek or something like that early doors, but it doesn't
Second season novice, but again, that would be tight given the fact that he's not out yet. We haven't had any rain, so I'm sure he'll have an entry, but that would be probably a tough thing in terms of timing.
I mean, just so that you don't think I'm absolutely crazy saying that, he's of the 2 firms that Oddschecker have got odds for. I mean, one of the major firms Oddschecker's got odds for. He's 1, 2, 3, 4th favourite for the Tingle Creek at 5-1 at the moment. Sprinter Sacra is 8-11. Armad at 7-2. Undersur at 9-2 and Duvan at 5. I have a feeling if Duvan was declared, he'd be a lot shorter than 5. But
I think the people are probably factoring in the fact he hasn't been out yet.
So you'd effectively say he's not going to run in the Tingle Creek unless something freaky happens.
Unless something freaky happens, that'd be hard to see that happening. Yeah.
And King George, right-handed. Happy with him going right-handed?
Yeah. Happy with him either way.
Because that was Votor's sort of bugbear, wasn't it? Slightly.
Votor was much better left-handed than he was right-handed, yep.
Okay, so Duvan, so we've got, Anipa and Faheen in the champion hurdle. We've got Duvan winning Gold Cup, champion chase. Do not even enter him for the Ryanair. Don't.
I'm sure all our horses will have entries across the piece. As we always do.
Don't give him a Ryanair option. This horse is too good for the Ryanair.
It's a good horse. Ryanair's a good race.
You don't want to be supporting the Ryanair anymore. Right, anyway, we'll go for a break.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Sergey, what's the rush?
I'm taking you to the cinema. To make it, we have to keep about 49.3 miles per hour.
And if we don't?
We won't have time for snacks.
Rush, Sergey! Take a friend to the cinema with 2-for-1 tickets from Meerkat Movies. Only when you buy, so comparethemarket.com.
Do you know what you could be living on when you retire?
That is not good. I actually can't live off that. This is a wake-up call, isn't it, really? I just didn't think about it. I don't think most people do think about it, so I'm going to do something about it.
See what your future could look like with our online tool.
For rain. For snow. For performance. Formatic. Formatic all-wheel drive. Now available for C-Class.
Something up with your bike, son? No, Captain. It's as good today as it's always been. Logo board game. Do you know your brand?
Good morning. Can I help you?
We're here to switch banks.
Let's grab a seat.
Our old bank in Bedrock is okay, but they're still living in the Stone Age.
Well, the good news is we give you £100 when you switch your current account to us.
Well, that sounds great.
Any idea what you're going to spend your £100 on?
I've got it. Something to improve the performance of my car. That's better.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself? With Wix, you can create your own professional website. Choose from hundreds of templates. Drag and drop to create your site exactly the way you want. Change your text. Choose one of our backgrounds or upload your own. Add popular web apps and services like Google Maps, contact forms, and so much more. Just like that, you've got your own stunning website that is fully optimized for every device. Create your stunning website today. It's easy and free.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Just nearly took a right hook during the break there. No surprise, really. Orwin, you probably don't say it like that. Mr. Subtle, I'm going to call you, says, how much longer before Rich Ricci chins Matt? It's a bit unfair, isn't it? I'll put my glasses on just in case.
There you go.
Let's go through a few of your tweets, actually, because lots of you are getting involved. Damien just says, loving Rich Ricci tonight, as most of you are, I think. Mark Coward says, ask Richie, Rich, I think. Ask Richie if Duvan won the King George, would he then rethink his Cheltenham target, the Gold Cup? If you won the King George, I mean, it's obviously the way you win it and things like that.
Yeah. Possibly. I know that's not an answer you want to hear, but you're right. You have to see how he won it. You know, that would be important. But I'd love to win that champion chase, and that to me is.
Well, you could have done, but you ran Voto in the run. But anyway,
people forget. You know, you haven't even mentioned Jackadam. You know, so people forget we've got a horse.
Well, he is your Ryanair horse,
who's finished second in the Gold Cup 2 years in a row. You know.
Yeah. Hold on. Does that mean he's a Gold Cup horse then? You think?
He's only going to be 8. He's only going to be 8 when the races run.
I spoke to your racing manager, Joe Chambers, after last year's Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And I don't want the neck to get in any trouble here because he doesn't ever give anything away.
Yeah.
Other than the fact, occasionally he says, I'm just cleaning Rich's shoes, so I can't speak to you. But the neck never gives anything away. But I said to him, Jackadam should be in the Ryanair. Now, almost 100%, I'd say 99%, Joe tells me what an idiot I am. But on this occasion, he said, I agree.
Right.
Do you take any notice of him?
Well, John, he won, of course, he won the Durkin last year, over 2.5 miles. So, you know, I absolutely, he could run in that race. He could
I think he'd win that race.
Possibly.
Well, you're not convincing me that you think that.
But I think if the ground's soft, he'd have to run in the Gold Cup.
Right, he's going in the Gold Cup then. Just coming back to Duvan, because I think I've just got to push a bit further on this. Just your gut feeling, as we sit in this studio now, with Duvan not having run, because obviously anything can change. Come March, I believe from your last statement you made, your gut feeling is he will be in the champion chase.
Yeah, right.
OK, whatever happens in the King George.
Yeah, I have to see how we go on, but that's how I feel today, yeah.
And as an owner, do you have no worries that if you went for a King George, over that longer distance, you could blunt his speed a little bit and take that sort of natural speed enthusiasm out of him?
We'd have to find out. He's certainly bred to step up a trip, and I don't think there'd be a problem with it, but gosh, would be a good question to ask, wouldn't it?
Because do you think, and these may be questions actually you don't have the answer to, because Willie's the trainer at the end of the day, but presumably Willie had to train Votor differently when he was stretching him out all the time. And so Duvan would be then trained differently to be a King George winner than he would be to be a
possibly
Tingle Creek winner?
Not necessarily.
I don't know the answer myself. Do you train them for speed, or you must have to
both
do something?
stamina and speed? But they do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Duvan off the bridle yet, have we?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know, Andy, what Andy the Lodge has been on. He says, can't see the invincibility about a horse not yet rated anywhere near 170, particularly in open company. He's talking about Vroom Vroom Mag.
Yeah. Good question. I didn't say she was invincible by any stretch of the imagination, but she's flexible. And I think she gives us a lot of options. And, to run into the... What is she over hurdles or over fences?
She's about 160 odd, isn't she?
157, 160, whatever it is. But remember, she didn't run over fences last year. She won her first outing of the season last year was over fences, so maybe didn't get a chance to improve on that mark. But I think that I'd say there'd be some improvement in her. But it's a fair point. But she's flexible enough with the allowance to be competitive in those races.
Yeah, the last time she ran in the chase, she's 153. But to be fair, she won the hurdle at Ascot off 149.
Yeah.
So, and she won at Punchestown off 154. She's not going to go up much more for that. So technically she has got more to find, doesn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then that's kind of what we said, is like she's a cash point machine. She just mops up things along the way. Right, here's a googly. Paul says, loving Rich Ricci. Please ask him about Sennywalk. Still on target for the Supreme. Let's hope so, because...
Yeah, we're just... he's fine. He's fine. He did a good piece of work last year, and I mentioned him in a preview, and someone else probably mentioned him in a night when people ask you, who do you have for the next year? But we've got lots of other ones that could potentially go as well. He's a good horse. He goes well. He's not the most straightforward horse, but he goes very well, and he's fine. He's absolutely fine.
We should just, there'll be names here some people have never heard of. This will be one of them. Sennewalk, a French bred who finished second and first.
Walk in the Park. That's why he's probably popular as well. Yep.
Yes, because you've got a thing about Walk in the Park, haven't
yep.
you? Duvan Walk in the Park?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's that thing there. Okay, so that's Sennywalk, all systems go, but very early to... Because remember you gave us Min, didn't you?
Yep.
About this time last year.
That's right.
Okay, give us the equivalent of Min.
Well, I think we've got several. I think we've got Sennywalk would be one. Riven Light is another one that goes well. He's a Raven's Pass horse.
Still a maiden. Yeah.
Trying to think who else we've got there.
We got
looking at my list here. Montalbano is a nice horse, Monsieur Bond horse, rated 97. He could be one as well. We've got some nice novices. Willie will have lots of nice novices, I'm sure, but of mine, those are probably the ones that are most forward and have a chance.
Which one of those is the Min?
Too early to tell. I don't have that kind of serious piece of work that Min had done the previous spring to rely on it, but probably Sennywalk would be the one that's closest of mine at the moment.
Okay.
That can all change.
And just with the chasers, I mean, Ballycasey is one of those horses.
Yeah.
He was impressive the other day, and he just... the problem with him
what happened to him? He's come back all of a sudden.
But that is his problem, isn't it? He could go away again next time and then come back in 2 months' time.
Yeah. I think we'll keep him over 2 to 2.5 mile trips. He loves his jumping, and he loves, he loves decent ground. He might do something on, be able to win those shorter races on softer ground as well. But delighted to see him back, actually.
Yeah, but he is that type, isn't he? You wouldn't want your mortgage on him.
He suffered from beating Don Cossack in Carlingford Lock in a novice chase, didn't he?
Yeah.
He took him a long time to get away from that rating, and then goes out and wins in he's the highest rating he's ever been. But long may it last. But you're right. Yeah, he is. He's not one to have your mortgage on.
No, you shouldn't remember beat Don Cossack 4 lengths and then PJ Moriarty, and of course beat Road to Riches when last seen. So he's got form. And Champagne Fever is slightly... I mean, we're talking about Duvan's going to win the Champion Chase, but there was a time when Champagne Fever would have had a look at him in the box next door and said, aye, Sonny Jim, who do you think you are?
Yeah, that was... it was a shame he couldn't run that year. He was bitten by... Who bit him? It was a Jigginstown horse, I think. Why
are you laughing at them, Rich?
No. They've
just sent you a nice message about Votor and you're laughing at them.
No, I'm saying I think it was a Jigginstown horse, to your points earlier about them.
I'll go anti-maroon now.
No, I'm not at all. They're lovely people. I told you that, and very important to the game. But but Champagne Fever's in great nick, and he looks really, really well. And I'd say 2.5 mile will be his trip. But he looks really well. I'm anxious to get him back.
And it's still the wonder of the modern world how he didn't win the Arkle.
Yeah, I remember.
The best jumping round you'll ever see.
Yeah, it was just extraordinary.
Stays further, pings the last, and gets beat by a horse who... Well,
he hasn't run again. He won't run again, isn't he? I saw Roger Brookhouse in the ring last year at Cheltenham. He had another one in there next year against one of our horses. I forget who it was. And I said, please, not another. What was it? Wounded Warrior or
I can't remember.
Whatever.
Now.
It was a brilliant horse. Ran a great race. It was a great ride by Tom Skoo, I think, actually.
I've got to look it up.
And got us. But it was it was amazing. But it was a great run by that horse.
Yeah, I've got to look it up now.
Western Warrior. That's who it was.
That's it. Western Warhorse.
Western Warhorse.
Western Warhorse. Ahead.
Yep.
Led after
Great
first.
Race.
Pushed along, ridden, hard pressed, kept on gamely, headed last stride.
It was a great ride. Yeah.
I bet that last stride you just wanted to absolutely smash someone up.
No, it was.
No, I did.
It was tough. It was tough.
Let's talk about Min. We've just mentioned Min.
Yeah.
I mean, novice chasing now, Min, or what?
Yep, that's the plan.
Did he have an issue?
He's fine. He got hurt in that race at Cheltenham, and he had a couple of other niggly things which we've sorted out, and he looks to be a different horse this year. So Altior ran a great race that day, but I look forward to hopefully taking him back on in the Arkle. But he'll go novice chasing, and I think you'll see a different horse this year. He's bigger, stronger, summered well, and we've got his issues straightened out, and I'm hoping he can hold his own in a rematch.
Ted Dugdale's all over Min. He says, please ask Mr. Ritchie about Min. Definitely his Arkle horse. He says, also ask him what Willie's plans are for Kashari.
Kashari, he ran a lovely race at Punchestown because we had him as I think he's 4 actually. That's all he is, and he'll stay over hurdles this season. They've taken away that 4-year-old allowance for the novice chaser, so it makes more sense to keep them, let them strengthen them up for hurdles. I'd say he'll be in some of the big races, but also in a lot of those grade 2s and grade 3s either over here or back in Ireland. I have a lot of time for him. I thought he won quite snugly, but looked a big, weak green thing when he won. So high hopes for him, and he could be a terrific chaser down the road.
And Liam says, any news on Limini? My feeling with Limini is that she's not as good as we want her to be.
Ooh.
Was that harsh?
No, I think...
Is she good?
Ruby got... I think Paul Townend rode a great ride, or whoever. I think it was Paul Townend on Whiteout at Punchestown.
Yeah, it was.
First run on us. I think Limini's fine. She had...
You got beat at Aintree as well.
Yeah, she did. That was disappointing that day. That was against the boys. But I think she's absolutely fine. She'll be probably Christmas time, maybe a little later when she comes out. But she'll be ready for hopefully go back to Cheltenham again. We had another horse called Carolee who won around the same time. That hopefully she's been out with a suspensory for the last season or so. Hopefully she'll be back as well in the second half. So a couple of darts to fire maybe at that mare's hurdle as well.
Yeah. I think that was politician Rich. You dished over Limini very quickly, and like a politician, you move quickly on to another one.
No, Limini's been fine. I'm not disappointed in Limini.
Well, I thought Limini was going to run a bit on the flat.
She was, but she was hurt this summer.
Right. Okay.
She's well handicapped on the flat, I reckon.
Yeah. So those, just going through some novice chasers, American Tom, Arda Devi, Children's List, Clondor Court. Di Cosimo is one that one or two people were asking about.
Yeah, he's fine. He was one of those ones last year who was running as a 4-year-old, rising 5. Ran really well first time out at Limerick. I think he finished second to, I forget who it was, and one of mine. And he ended up just weak. Took a while to come right. I think he'll make into a nice staying chaser now, and he'll definitely go novice chasing. He's fine. He's summered very well.
Yeah.
American Tom is the horse we love. Yeah. Beautiful looking horse. Beautiful looking horse. He is by American Post. Beautiful looking horse. Remember last year he won. I forget who fell in his race. Paul hadn't gone for him yet, but he won and then he got hurt. But he looks a picture. He might have one hurdle run before he goes over fences, but he could be anything. He could be absolutely anything.
Yeah, just look at that American Tom race. Gunnery Sargent.
Yeah.
Noel Mead and the Cooper.
Yeah.
Fell over. Led approaching 2 out and fell. But American Tom looks definitely like he's going to be winning lots of races anyway. And on the maiden sort of novice hurdle front, who are the sort of, I mean, we got to know horses like Pile on the Pressure and horses like that. Who are the sort of bumper horses that were always going to be better hurdlers, do you think?
Well, it's funny. We the last few seasons, we haven't had as many bumper horses. And something that Patrick Mullen asked me about, actually, a couple of weeks ago, because we've had a great success with them. But for some reason, I I don't like having a 5-year-old bumper horse. I don't mind if they're 4. But it's been difficult to find the right one. So I think of the bumper horses that we had that will make novice hurdlers. I think Pylon the Pressure has to be one. Lovely horse. I think Live, Love, Laugh, who of course won his maiden just after the turn of the year, is another one. Who else we have? Let's Dance. I think that she was okay last year, but she was a bit weak. She looked much better in winning her race after the new year. We've got a couple of nice 3-year-olds, one called Bapome, which Willie mentioned in his stable tour last week out of Turtle Bowl, that'll run this season. Another one called Winter Soldier, who is another 3-year-old that'll probably run this season, a winner in France. And a horse called Orion de Brel, who is a recent purchase, who will also probably run this season. The other 3-year-olds we bought won't run till next year. We can talk about those next year. But we've got, I think we have more 3-year-olds than we've ever had. But it's getting harder and harder to find and source horses that win those point-to-points and can go on. It's very competitive.
Do you have first choice? Will you get? Do you think you have first choice? Do you know if you have first choice?
No, I think he thinks there's some horses, just given kind of the preferences we've had over the others, suit us better than others. I don't think there's a kind of a first choice thing. I think that he knows the kind of horses I like. Probably knows the kind of horses that Graham likes. Graham buys a lot of point-to-pointers. We don't buy many. And it probably just works out well for the yard.
And just out of interest, Rich, and I have no idea about this answer. I haven't prepped you for this. Hold on. Have you ever said no? Like, has Willie's rung you up and said, Rich, you've got to have this, and he said it's so much money, it's this amount of money. Do you often say no?
Not often, but I've said no fairly, a decent amount of time. Sure.
Anything that you've regretted? Is there something out there that runs now that?
No, we'll see this season. I'm sure there's some nice novice hurdlers and some other colours that. How many horses can you have? And
I don't know, Rich. How many?
Well, it gets.
How many can you? How many have you got?
It gets mad after a while. It's a lovely sport, but it's a hobby, and we try to be disciplined, and I think we've done a good job of that. But yeah, there's some I've turned down. Some might turn out to be great. I can't think of one that we've turned down that's gone on to do wonderful things. But there are ones that we've bought that have had really seriously bad luck. Who have either.
Are there names, because this is the other side of it, we only see the glory. Are there horses that, I don't want the details or anything, but you've spent a lot of money on that have never even raced?
Sure.
Really?
Bought Sanctuaire, and he died in the gallops. We had a lot of grade 1 winners there with bad luck. Sula Sue, do you remember him?
Yeah.
He dropped dead. We spent a lot of money on the Alley Colombière. I think you were there that day, but he died at Ferry House.
That was horrible, yeah.
I've watched that back a couple of times, and you said to me before the race, this is nothing, this is just an aside between us. You said the horse didn't look right that day, and it's funny you say that. In my eye, then you said that I've gone back and looked at it. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. He was certainly fine. The vet didn't have an issue with it, but he was sort of weird in the ring.
I don't think you'd probably go on my eye on those kind of things, anyway. But I did feel that day there was just.
But yeah, there's a lot of them. Unfortunately, that's part of the game as well.
Shall we open up?
Sure.
There's been money around. What was the money horse today for one of yours?
Camellia Ducat.
That was Camellia Ducat.
It was on Twitter earlier. Went from 33s into 10s.
How much have you had on?
None. I just saw her for the first time on Friday when I was down at the yard.
So how does that happen then, Rich? If you honestly have not had a penny on, and as far as I'm aware, I know you a little bit. You're not a massive punter in any case, sort of thing. How's that happen? Do you think stable lad lass or something?
I don't know. It doesn't take much to move markets this time of the year either. There's not a lot of liquidity in those races like that, and it can take 50 quid to move a market.
Actually, I was going to go for a break, and we will, I promise. Do we have to, producer? No. But we've just mentioned betting. What's happening? I mean, Faheen, investigation? Is there anything you can say on that score?
It's got nothing to do with me or us or anything to do with us. It's a BHA HRI investigation.
Is it still ongoing?
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything to the contrary, but it's got nothing to do with us.
Okay. Right, well, I think we will go for a break. I think that would be a good point to break, don't you, Rich? You can chin me. And then, look, this is your chance to put a question to Rich, sensible as you can. 0198 865 855. Yeah, there it is. 01908 865 855. We were thinking of ending about 8. We'll see how we go. If we get lots of calls, I know, Rich, it'd be lovely to speak to you.
Happy to.
You can ask me anything you like as well. Let's see what happens. We'll open up the phone lines. You can speak to Rich Ricci after this.
Sponsored by Bet365.
An enigmatic stranger. A couple that no longer exist. Danger in the shadows. And the key to it all.
Unpack the joy of travel with the Preferred Rewards Gold Card. Get off to a flying start with 2 airport lounge passes. Rest and relax with hotel room upgrades. And with car rental upgrades, tour the local sites in style. Just some of the benefits packed into the Preferred Rewards Gold Card from American Express. Search Amex Gold.
By the time he's found his screwdriver, by the time he's packed that away, by the time she's finished that, or he's finished that, by the time he's dusted that off, or that stops hurting, it'll be ready. With Screwfix Click and Collect, you can check stock online, order, and thousands of trade products are ready to pick up in as little as 1 minute. Screwfix Click and Collect, in as little as 1 minute.
We will eradicate the authority of the earth.
We sent men beyond our atmosphere, but the open space gave way to an insurgency.
Captain's dead.
So who has the con, Gator?
I believe you do, sir.
Salt, you with me?
Always.
You lack what it takes to win this war.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Available now. Play map packs 30 days early. Only on PlayStation 4. For the players.
We are Funding Circle. We help businesses grow with affordable loans. Businesses just like yours. And we work fast by making decisions quickly. So you can focus on doing what you do best. Our rates start at 6% per year. You'll get a quote instantly. And a dedicated account manager is on hand for you every step of the way. Funding Circle. Better business loans. Get an instant quote at fundingcircle.com.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Welcome back. The best tweet of the whole night has just come through, Rich. You remember this from the past. Andy Mack is just saying, have you got the One Show on record at home? Because there was a time, I think, when I called you or something and you were watching the One Show rather than the show.
That's right. I've got a better tweet. My wife said that I should wear a poppy. I apologise. I should have one on.
Well, you've got one on your coat, your overcoat.
Yeah,
you just haven't got your overcoat
down for me, that would be good.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you, Susanna.
To be fair, Rich has got one on his overcoat, so he couldn't wear his overcoat in here. Let's go to the lines. We've got so many tweets coming through about different horses that we still haven't mentioned, but let's see what... Connor, you're on the line.
Hello. Matt. Yeah.
Hi, Connor.
Hello.
What would you like to say?
Well, as a young enthusiast of racing, I'd just like to know about Clolta Vic. He hasn't ran since the 17th of January at Leopardstown, when he took sort of a hefty thing to the floor.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be really any mention about him. He's no real future entries, but he seems to be priced up by Paddy Power at 16-1 for the Gold Cup.
OK, well, Clolta Vic, of course, not owned by Rich, for a start.
No, by John Boyd.
But I mean, I don't know if... Rich, do you know if Clolta Vic's still alive?
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely alive.
So he's absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know why we haven't heard much about him, but I go back to what I've discussed with Rich on the show, that, you know, Willie hasn't got his horses out early at the moment, presumably because of the ground. So I wouldn't worry. If Willie's watching, Willie, text us and let us know what Clolta's like. Or Patrick Mullins must be watching, isn't he? Patrick wouldn't miss this show, would he?
Well, I'm under the illusion,
Patrick's
Matt,
got something better to do.
I'm under the illusion that this horse will never run again.
Really?
Yes, that's from sources from John Boyd and Rose Boyd. But sure, we'll have to see what Willie says. But that's my illusion of it, and just wanted to phone up to see if you could get an answer to that question.
I'm texting Patrick Mullins. Hold on, how do I spell Clolta? K-I-L-L-U-L-T-A-G-H, something like that.
Yeah, that's it,
Clolta Vic.
That's it.
all okay. And
All
I'll
right.
see what he says. He might not respond, of course.
No, that's all right. All
Okay,
right,
we'll
thank
see
you.
what we can get for you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks very much, Connor.
Thanks.
God, let's hope there are better questions than that for you, Rich. Kalaltovic, then. Connor in Belfast. He's gone straight in with a non-Rich Ricci horse on Rich Ricci night. Thanks, Connor. It was a good question, though. It'd be interesting to see if we get a response. Let's go to line 44. Who's on there? Ryan is in Worcester. Good evening, Ryan.
Hi there.
Please don't ask Rich about Conagry.
Well, no, I'm just wondering, Lenzio is struggling for his 4 winners.
Yes.
Is Rich Ricci going to give him a ride?
Rich, when Duvan comes over here, Lenzio is Andrew Thornton, who's been trying to get 1,000 winners for 100 years.
Right.
Would you put him on a steering job if you have one over here? The answer's no.
I don't know him. I know who he is, and I know he's
Won the
chasing
Gold
it.
Cup, Cool Dawn, but it was
Yeah,
100 years ago.
put David Casey up on Long Dog ticket for his final ride at odds
He
of 1 to 9.
desperately needs help.
I suppose it's not out of the.
I think Rich Ricci needs
it's
to
not out of the realms of possibility,
but
but it'd be nice to be a good problem to have if we've got something that's nailed on like that.
The answer, Ryan, is no. But thanks very much for coming on.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's Ryan in Worcester, who's tried to get Andrew Thornton a Rich Ricci ride, and Rich was as polite as he could be, but the answer was quite clearly no. He actually didn't even know who Andrew Thornton was. Right. Callum on line 6. Good evening, Callum.
Hiya, Matt. Hiya, Rich.
Hi, Callum.
What would you like to say?
Just a quick one, really. Just want to say, well, I was in work yesterday and I had a message through, and it was about the tour, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, we're in Cheltenham, me and a mate go every year, and we've seen Vittor in his first Cheltenham in the Supreme, and it took our breath away. I mean, we were backing him for we were backing him JLC and then any race the next season after, and he's just given us so many good days, and I just want to, say thanks to Richie for bringing him into our lives, because apart from Sprinter Sacra, he was my favourite ever horse, and it's just hit me like a ton of bricks, really.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's very kind of you. It's certainly a loss for us, but when I hear people like you, it's also nice to know that people feel that way, and it's a loss for racing. But there'll be other great horses, I'm sure, but we should certainly reflect on what a star he's been, and thank you very much for your kind words.
Yeah,
Can I just ask one question, Rick?
Yes, sure.
What's going on with Simper de Flo? Because I've got a mate asking who wants to ask you. He's yours, isn't he?
Which one?
Simper de Flo.
Oh, Simper de Flo.
Simper de Flo.
Yeah.
Yes, he's fine. He will be a novice. He is 4. He's out of Tiger Groom. He's still a maiden. He goes very well. Bit headstrong, but he goes very well. He could be an exciting prospect too.
Lovely. And just one last thing.
Yes.
We run a blog site called Anti-Post Racing.
Right. Is this a shameless plug, Callum?
Anyone? Pardon?
Is this a shameless plug?
No, but what I was going to say, Rich, if you're at Punchestown in April, we'll buy you a few Guinnesses, all right? So we'll look out for you.
Well, there's something. There's a reason to go, Rich.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to that.
Thanks, Callum.
Cheers, bye-bye.
In typically fine style, Patrick Mullins has already got back about Kalaltovic. He says he's okay, but equally what I think it was it Connor, I think, maybe
Connor,
in Belfast.
yeah.
What Connor was saying, there may be an element of truth, because he says it will be late in the season before Kalaltovic reappears, and then he has added at best.
Right.
So that would suggest that there's every chance Kalaltovic might not be seen this season, although I'm putting words immediately.
I'll say something that was have you ever seen anything like the way when he took that nose down and then produced that turn of foot to win? That was just remarkable. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Great horse.
He was sensational. Right, we're going to go to the phone lines again. Rob from Burnley is on line 71. Good evening, Rob from Burnley.
Good evening, Matt.
What would you like to say?
I'd just like to ask Mr. Ricci a question about my favourite horse, Duvan. If I were to choose his first option to run in the King George, would he choose Duvan over Vroom Mag?
Can you repeat that?
First option.
Yep.
If it's the King George, would your first option be Duvan or would it be Vroom Vroom Mag? Your first option, i.e. your number one contender. It's a tricky one, because it depends how things go a bit.
I don't know. Vroom Vroom Mag's demonstrated she can do the distance. She's a great jumper. He's a second season novice, be an awfully big ask. It's a hard one. I have to see how they go first time out. It really is hard.
Yeah.
Really is. It's a good question, and it's the right question. It's one we'll be wrestling with, I'm sure, and debating and having wars. And
just out of interest, Rich, on that, why wouldn't Jack Adam run in the King George?
He's not entered. I suppose
that's a mistake, isn't it?
Well,
if we're saying he's a Ryanair horse rather than the Gold Cup horse, the King George in between distances, it has to be the perfect race.
I'm sure, and we didn't talk about it specifically, but I'm sure what Willie has in mind is what I have in mind, which would be the Lexus.
Yeah, maybe the soft ground.
On heavy ground, yeah. That ground at Kempton's often good ground.
You know those those Twiston Davis boys?
Yeah, brilliant.
You know the ones that have been telling you the new one will beat Faheen all their lives? So
Yes.
You really mocked them then, Rich.
No.
It
was always good banter. It was always good banter. Yeah.
Willie's been on. He just says, why has Richie not got a horse with Nigel Twiston Davis?
It's a good question. I like Nigel a lot. He's a good man. I'd like to have a drink with him. He's good fun. You never say never. But at the moment, the sort of partnership between us and Willie seems to be going in the right direction.
And is there still no chance in the future, and this will be no detriment to Willie, that you could have a team in England?
Of course we could. I've got great respect for trainers. Nicky Henderson I've had one with before. David Pipe, Paul Nichols. I'm sure we will have them with them in time. But I can also categorically say that the vast majority of our team will be with Willie Mullins.
Chris says you were very keen on Carolee last season. Any update on her?
Yeah, she got hurt last year. She'll be second half of the season. She's a lovely horse. She won her maiden just before Limini won hers. And I would have probably put Carolee ahead of Limini on that performance. She's coming back from an injury. We'll see how she gets on. If she's going to make it back, she will be second half of the season. Hopefully she will.
And there's a question here, which I'm going to write the answer down here, and then you are going to tell me that this is the right answer. Okay. Cormac McCloskey says, what is the one horse in training Rich wishes he owned?
Thistlecrack. As if by magic.
As if by magic. It was so obvious, Cormac. Come on. Got to ask somebody better than that. Right, let's go to Mike. Mike, good evening to you. What would you like to say?
Hello, how are you?
Very well.
Michael.
I'd just like to commiserate with Rich about what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'd also hope he runs Duvan in the King George, because I believe Duvan could do anything.
I think
it's the best. I think it's the best I've ever seen around that distance. But I think it could stretch the 3 mile around Campton.
I think that's your feeling, isn't it? Duvan could be anything.
Duvan, I mean, he just does everything so effortlessly. And again, I don't think a step up and trip will be a problem. I'm sure we'll put it to the test at some point. But thank you very much for the kind words about Vautour. And we're very lucky to have the horses we have. Some people have, a horse like Vautour once in a lifetime. We've got 4 or 5 that it's just a real privilege to own.
Rich, thank you, because you've made racing in Britain and Ireland brilliant over the last few years with all these great horses. You're fantastic, you and Kenna, Graham Wiley and O'Leary. And I'm glad you could handle a small price race. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's a big fan.
That's very
Michael,
kind of you. Thank you.
In Belfast, I could see the Duvan thing going the same way as the Vautour thing, though. I think we're going to have problems. Anyway, let's go back to the phone lines. It's Willie in Cheltenham. Crikey, Mullins.
Is it Mullins?
I don't think it's that, Willie. If it is, you're in the... Oh, God, you could be in the absolute doghouse. Yeah. Willie, you will not be running. Rich, you will not be running. Right, Willie, what would you like to say? Welcome to the show. How are you, champion trainer? He's gone. He put the phone down on us, I think.
Did he?
Willie, are you there? Gone, let's move on. Come on, we can't hang around in this show. Tom in Derbyshire. Let's hope Tom is there. Line 55. Tom, good evening to you.
Good evening, Matt.
What would you like to say?
Hi, Tom.
Firstly, just want to set my deepest sympathy about Vautour. Just a wonderful athlete, a beautiful horse, and I don't care how many horses and how much money you've got and all the rest of it. It must be devastating to lose such any horse, but one with as much talent as he had. It must have been, tragic for you, and I'm really sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry it's a subject that's been covered, but it's one that I think is worth covering again. Duvan, I'm left breathless every time I see the horse run. I've been fortunate to see him run in the flesh twice. He's just, I just think he could be the greatest racehorse there's ever been, and I don't say that lightly. Will he stay? 3 mile, 2 furlongs? And will he go? Is there any possibility he could go for the Gold Cup? Because him against Thistlecrack, if they remain unbeaten and went for the Gold Cup, what a race! I mean, that's Denman, Cato Star, as far as I'm concerned. That could be probably even better. What a spectacle that would be.
Yes, I think it might. Sorry.
No, carry on, Rich.
No, I think in my mind, the way I've been thinking, and again, we haven't discussed it really beyond just rudimentary conversation, is that you'd keep Duvan at 2 miles this year. You might step him up for the Gold Cup, or pardon me, for the King George, if things worked out the way they might. But you'd keep him Champion Chase this season and then step him up and ship next year. That would have been my default plan coming into the weekend, and I don't see any real reason to change that at the moment. But of course, anything can happen, and we'll have to see what happens.
One more question, Richard. What can't he do?
What can't Duvan do, Richard?
What can't Duvan do? Well, I don't know yet. Hopefully, we'll never find out.
No, he can do anything, but he might not do it this season.
Matt, what you've done for that jockey, good on you, fella. Well done.
Well, it's not me, actually. It's the people giving the money.
Yeah,
I appreciate your kind words anyway, Tom. Look,
thank you, Tom.
Thanks for coming on board. That is Tom. Good lad.
It's a bit hard to hear out of this. This must be Luke Harvey's earpiece. It must be covered in wax or something. It's very difficult to hear.
There is a little bit of Luke Harvey about you there, to be fair, Rich. Oh, that's horrible. Actually, you got a nice new earpiece.
Did I?
Whereas mine is a horrible state. Right, we're going to go back to the lines. It's John from Hendon on line 2. John, good evening.
Hi, John.
John! Right, get him off. Let's have another one. Let's get rid of him. John from Hendon's gone. Let's go to Mark in Buckinghamshire.
Hi, Mark.
Good evening, Mark. Mark? Come on, line 6.
Hello.
Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Oh, got you now, yeah.
Hi, Mark.
Don't worry. Complete. Come on, lads. Come on. When we say line 6, just put them through. Right, yeah, line 6. Honestly. Yes, Mark, speak!
Yeah, all right. I want to talk about Vroom Vroom Mag.
Good.
Yes.
So you want about different horses for, mainly, Matt, you were saying about Jack Allen for the Ryanair. I think she's a same as in the Mare's Hurdle. She's a gimme for the Ryanair. She runs in that.
I missed that. What was that?
What was the last bit again, Plug?
I said I think she's a gimme if she runs in the Ryanair.
Vroom Vroom.
Yeah, I can. It's a good question, Mark. I think she would definitely have an entry for the Ryanair. I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Is it more than likely going to be King George to start with?
We've had this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we got to keep in mind that King George isn't the be all and end all. It's a great race, but it's a nice race. I'd love to win it. We'd love to win it. Willie'd love to win it. We'll have to see what happens. But if she comes out and runs really well first time out, there's no reason why she couldn't go for that.
Mark, we've got to go for a break. Thanks for your call.
Sponsored by Bet365.
This Dyson Cord Free format transforms the way you clean. With a light but powerful Dyson digital motor, it adapts easily to tackle jobs here, pretty much anywhere. In just a few simple clicks. Twice the suction of any other cordless vacuum.
Good things, I got something right here for you. I got something right here for you.
Now here's a cool thing you can only do with Sky Q. You know recordings on your main box, well you can download them onto these. Look. Get in. And, this is good, you could even watch them out and about without 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, whatever. See, my recordings, playing. Sky Q, the next generation box.
Then 3 kings arrived, bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and headphones.
It's a little more than that, to be fair. It's a pair of Bose wireless noise-cancelling headphones.
But he's meant to be Mer.
It's not what I want for Christmas if I were that special. Just so you know.
Change the way you book your next flight. Kayak shows you whether to book now or wait for a lower price. Save now on kayak.co.uk.
Upgrade to Sky Q and we'll provide you with our next generation box. You can record more at the same time, store over 1,000 hours of TV, watch recordings from your main box all around the house, and take recordings anywhere, even offline. Call or search Sky Q to upgrade from only £12 extra a month.
Not all racing is equal. The same can be said of sports betting apps. BetVictor.
We're going to go straight back to the phone lines, but before we do, perhaps the most crucial question ever asked on the line has come in from Jamie Moore. Trump or Clinton?
Oh, crikey.
It's a bit personal, but
yeah,
there's only one way to turn, isn't there?
Yeah.
Would you rather not say?
It's difficult. It's
the worst of two evils. Could you describe it?
Oh boy, it depends. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that a country as big as America, and I'll leave it at this, can only produce those two candidates. So yeah. I'm hopeful that whoever gets in can repair some of the stuff that's happened throughout this campaign. It's been embarrassing for the country, I think, and for those of us. And I'm a British citizen as well. It's just a difficult time, and I just hope that whoever gets in, we can repair some of the damage we've done internationally to the standing of the US.
Yeah, it has been extraordinarily strange. It really has. It's like there's a TV show. It's just completely ridiculous. Anyway, Jamie Moore has stumped Richie. You've stumped him. And Willie, could you stop now, please? Honestly, because my phone's just getting annoyed by you now. Willie Twiston-Davies has been on again. He needs to have a horse with Nige. It's like, how desperate can you sound? How desperate can you be? All those years of the new one, and now look, you're desperate for a Faheen and an Annie Bow. Right, let's go to line one. Dennis from
hi,
Greenford. Evening, Dennis.
Yeah, hi. First, Rich, my condolences on your loss, and it's been a bad week in racing, but fair dues to you, Matt, and what you've done, and I'm very proud. It's brilliant. But on a racing question, I'd like to ask Rich about Limini.
Yes.
She's rated 35 pounds lower between her flat and her hurdles. Is she going to run the flat? And where do we see her potentially?
She will. I think she's definitely. We hope to run her this season on the flats, but she got hurt just after the turn of the season. So she'll be back second half of the jump season. You'll definitely see her on the flat next year. I don't know if she'll be a Melbourne Cup type, but certainly on those staying handicaps, I think she's on a nice mark. I agree with that. Absolutely.
Is she a champion hurdle type?
No, I don't think she's fast enough over hurdles for that.
Yeah. Rich has already got the 1-2 in that as well, Dennis. There's no point in having a 1-2-3, although Aidan O'Brien did like it in the art. Thanks for your call, Dennis. Where are you originally from?
Tipperary in Ireland.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, good man.
Tremendous. OK, thanks for calling in.
Cheers. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Let's go to Jordan in Gloucester. Don't get too excited, Rich. I don't think it's that Jordan. OK, it's Jordan in Gloucester.
Hello, boys.
Hi, Jordan.
It's not that Jordan. Evening, Jordan.
Show. Great as always, Matt.
Yes, good. What would you like to ask the great man?
Just a couple of quick things. Will we see Moyle Park again this season? I know he got injured first time out last season.
Moyle Park is unfortunately not with us anymore. He suffered a broken pelvis and he had to be put down, unfortunately.
I am sorry. And just another quick question. When he first burst on the scene a couple of seasons ago, did you ever come close to thinking about poaching Undersow?
About purchasing Undersow?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll...
Poaching him and thinking, I don't want him as a rival. I like him as part of my team.
you drive yourself crazy doing that. And the O'Connells, who are a lovely, lovely family, they wouldn't have sold him for love nor money. And he's still a very good horse. And it's nice to have the competition in the yard. And the one thing I like about Willie is because we're all treated the same. And again, we joined that yard in 2005, and the rules were made very clear to us that there's a nice camaraderie amongst the ownership. And we root for each other. We really do. And it's a nice environment. They do a good job.
Thank you, boys.
You're welcome. Jordan, I think what Rich meant to say is, why would I want him when I've got Duvan who'll just absolutely whip his backside?
Yeah. Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
Possibly. And so much better horse in soft ground, and so he needs heavy.
Good horse. He was brilliant in France.
Yeah. Right, let's go to line 4. It's a Richard in Doncaster. Good evening, Richard.
Evening, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, very well. What would you like to say?
Well, just repeat everybody's deepest commiserations with Voto.
Yeah, very kind of
to Mr. Ricci.
Thank you.
But secondly, just not really one of the stable stars, but Ballycasey. He had a spin round the national fence, was going very well, and Ruby said he was enjoying it last year when he got brought down. I know you said already on the programme maybe 2.5 miles for him. Could you see him have another tilt at the national, Mr. Ricci?
I just don't think he stays. I don't know what you think, Richard. I think, last year, Katie rode him last year. I think Ruby maybe she rode him the year before as well, but he was really going. He seemed to love his jumping. And, he came, I think he was in 7th place at the 3rd or 2nd last. Yeah. And he just had enough, really. And Katie kind of dumped Katie. I think Katie fell off, whatever it was. But he was exhausted. The horse was tired. I'm not sure if he would have finished 7th. To me, his ideal trip seems to be, this 2.5. I don't think he's ever won beyond 2.5.
It's great to see the old boy back, though.
Isn't it lovely? He's so white as well, and he really seems to be enjoying himself. It's nice when they can come back like that. It's been a real surprise this summer, and I'm with you. It's great to see it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Is Mrs. Mrs. Rich?
Mrs. Ricci, as she's known in the trade, yes.
Mrs. Rich Ricci.
Yes.
Is she a fan of the Grand National? Because she loves these horses and she gets very close to them and emotional about them.
Yes, she likes the Grand National.
She still likes it, because I remember David Johnson, and when he was around owning all the Cy4 Mortars and everything, his family loathed that day of the year. Obviously, he had horses that ran in it, and Complar Die won it. Yep. But up until Complar Die, it was a race that the family didn't enjoy. But
from our perspective, it's just one of those iconic races that you'd love to win. And they've done so many great things now to make sure that the animal welfare aspect of the course is what it should be. That it's brilliant. No, it's great to have a runner in it. Love to win it.
Let's go to line 5, Rich. Line 5 is Dan. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, lads. How are we?
Hi, Dan. Very well.
Yeah, it's nice to be still called a lad, isn't it? Which makes it sound like we'll be off clubbing.
I can't believe how old I look.
Where are we going to go? We're going to rock it somewhere.
Not anywhere with you. You're orange. You're too orange. Go on.
What? Can you hold on, Dan? Can you just say that again?
You're too orange. It's amazing. It's like being next to a creamsicle. Those orange ice cream lollies. Anyway,
lads, when I said give Rich Luke's earpiece, I'm pleased I did that. Right, okay. Thanks, Dan. What would you like to say?
Go on, Dan. Sorry.
Gents, first of all, condolences about Vautour.
Thank you.
Gutted to hear that yesterday. What a class horse. Putting that to one side, 2 questions. The first is, I was on Min at the festival last time around, put a load of money on it. Really confident. What gives you guys the confidence going forward? He's that much better this year than Altior. And the second question is, how do we feel about the move to ITV? In particular, the gentleman sat opposite us. Coverage. Are we excited or concerned?
Question. I mean, it's so obvious that it's brilliant.
Let me answer the first one first. Listen, I didn't say that Min would be better than Altior. What I said was I'm not afraid to take Altior back on this year in the Arkle. I think what gives us the confidence is, number one, he's recovered fully from his injury, and we sorted out a couple of other problems he had, and he summered very, very well. He's much bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I like the fact you only answered half the question.
On ITV.
No.
On ITV, I think, look, I thought there would be a much different look to it, and we seem to be bringing a lot of people from the current Channel 4 team over, which is fine. But people are talking about shaking it up. I have my own views on who I like. I think Nick Luck is a real loss. I love Ed Chamberlain. He's a really nice chap, but I hope Nick finds a place somewhere in racing. But I think the addition of Matt and the injection of trying to get some fun back into it is a good thing. And
Yeah.
they deserve a fair shake at the stick.
Rich.
And we'll see. What's that?
Phew, you said that. It could have been a horrible end to this show, couldn't it?
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good, and I think people need to be positive about it. I think that there's been too much carping about maybe there should be different presenters, this, that, and the other. We need to give them a chance and all support it because it's important, really important, that it goes well. So hopefully people have a positive attitude towards it and it'll resonate.
I tell you what, Dan, and I shouldn't say this probably because you just open yourself up for trouble in the future. But when you see Chamberlain on Jan the 1st, you will come away from that show and you will think superb. And I absolutely, genuinely mean that. I know you can say, oh, yeah, well, you're in the mix now. But I generally do say kind of what I mean. And the research, he will have done more racing research than anyone on the team. He goes racing every day. He's gone to every single member of the racing hierarchy, literally every day. I mean, like a nutcase. Almost to the state that the other day I thought he was almost ill with the amount of effort he's put in. He could not do more. And I absolutely 100% believe me that you will come away from that first show and you will think, that boy is good. So whatever else,
good.
He will be good, I promise you.
I'm excited for it, lads. And genuinely, good luck. I hope it goes well. And look forward to seeing your orange face on national TV.
Just go away.
Good man, Dan. Well done.
Just go away.
Yeah.
Dealt with people like you before on this show and we just ditch you. Let's go. We're going to Derry City now. Crikey. Who is it, though?
Davey.
Oh, thanks, Rich. At least you're paying attention.
Right. Yeah.
Davey is on line 6. Evening, Davey.
Evening, lads.
Hi, Davey.
What would you like to say?
Hi, Rich. Rich, I met you at the Cheltenham Fest home meeting on the 4 days, and this is the guy who always asked for your colours, and you said you would sign them, you and Willie.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
you
dear.
want to give me the card?
Yeah, I'm the guy.
We will sort that out.
That's grand, Rich.
Oh, you haven't
Thank
done it yet.
very-
It was only March.
We have so many
I know,
requests.
it's a long posted delay.
Good man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it, Davey? You just
That's fine.
Dave's run in to get a card signed.
No. He wanted colours for a raffle. It's an important thing. I do remember him. He's a nice chap.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Let's see who else wants something for Rich to do. We're going to go to line 1. Tom, incidentally, on Twitter says, has Rich spoken about Khashoggi? Yes. I'm sorry he has. But this show will be on the app, and you will be able to watch it again and look back at what he has said about Khashoggi. We don't need to go over that. Right, where we go? Roth. Sounds like a lot of waffle to me. Let's find out. Roth on line 1.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Rich.
What's Roth short for, Mom?
It's not. It's Ross, as in ROSS.
Lads, sorry,
Yeah,
but
come
if
on,
someone's
Matt.
called
Do your work
Ross
with that.
and we put Roth up on the screen, I mean, how is there anyone called Roth?
Maybe it was a dog barking.
Honestly, I've had this with
That went
bookmakers.
right
They
over your
spell
head.
forecast wrong.
So
and
maybe it
things
was
like
a
this.
dog barking. Roth.
Right. Anyway, Ross,
Go on,
welcome to the
Ross.
show, and many apologies. We times are hard, and in this,
They're quick enough, Matt.
if you pay peanuts, this is the team you get. Right, thanks. What would you like to say?
Just curious as to, Annie, Rich said might run for another season or two. We've got Broom Broom and Limini, fairly sought-after brood mares, I'd think. And I just wondered, does he have plans to breed them himself, or will they go to the sales and recoup some money to come back into his purchasing pot?
Well, we've traditionally sold our mares on. We tend to get our mares covered. We have one going to the sales next week, actually, Bellissa Monterrey, who was covered by Shantou. We tend to do it that way. But we haven't made a final decision, but I think our inclination is with Annie, with Vroom Vroom, with Limini, maybe with some of these other nicer mares that we have, we'd probably like to take a crack at breeding ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it would be wonderful. I think it would be just too hard for us to part with one of these mares after they've been so good to us, I think.
Absolutely. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
From a national hump racing point of view, you could technically put something like Galileo with Annie Power. If you wanted to, you could pay the money and do it. Would no one ever do that just because it's stupid money and it's just not worth it? Or would you ever go to something like, for instance, they put out all their SARS and things, and I think Glen Eagles is like 40 grand a pop or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like,
it all
would you ever
depends.
consider it for something like Annie Power?
I think what you'd have to look at is do all the crosses work. I don't have a prejudice against something like a Galileo or one of these superstar horses doing a breeding with one of ours at all. It depends on the crosses and how it all works. That's the stuff you got to look at.
Yeah.
It's the right theory, I suppose. And a lot of these National hunt horses are bred by flat horses, of course. No, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But you'd have to look at the crosses and how it all works out and what's the best fit and that kind of thing.
Emotionally, do you think it would hit you even more than it does already? I mean, I saw your face during the Vautour clips, but if you bred it, you're brought up with it.
Oh, it must be a
cuddled
wonderful
it
feeling.
all your life, and
must be a wonderful feeling. Last year watching Golden Horns Connections, that was the most important thing to them, was the fact they had bred it, and it must be like raising a child, I suppose. But we've never done that. It'd be interesting to see how that works out.
In your wildest dreams is not wrong, because it's not a thing of dreams. But when you started off with Willie, and now you're talking about breeding from champion hurdlers and things like that. I mean, you can't have imagined it would have got this big, Rich. I know you are the kind of guy who would want to be the best at whatever you do, but this is big.
We've been very, very lucky. There's a lot of people who spend a lot more money than we do and haven't had nearly the success, and that's really down to Willie and his team. We've been very lucky, but you're absolutely right. I had no idea. Yeah. If you had told me in 2005 that we'd have a runner in the Melbourne Cup, let alone finish second, I would have laughed at you. But it's just been a great run, and long may it last.
Well, another day you might have had the winner of the Melbourne Cup. But that's another story. Let's go straight to William, who's been waiting, I have been told, a long time. William, what would you like to say to Richard? In fact, so long he's ditched us. William, have you ditched us? Oh, he's been waiting for half an hour.
Has he been? Oh, crikey. Yeah. Sorry, William.
Don't worry, we'll give Rich his mobile out in a minute. You can call him personally, William. Line 2. Ronan in Battersea. A very upwardly mobile place, Battersea, these days. Ronan, good...
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Ronan.
How's it going, man?
Going fine, Ronan. What would you like to say?
Just on the back of the Melbourne Cup, what's the story of Max Dynamite?
Max Dynamite is fine. So Max Dynamite had a tiny little hairline fracture or something like that, which would explain his kind of inability to perform the way he did last season earlier in the year. So we've given him a break. We've got him sorted. He's back. He will run over hurdles this season. I'm looking forward to that. I think he's. We don't run our horses to get handicapped, but he's got a nice handicap mark. He could be one maybe for the Ladbrokes at Christmas time, if he's ready. If not, one of those big handicaps in the new year. But it could also be a Cheltenham horse. Could go back and try and win a Cheltenham handicap. But the longer term plan for Max is hopefully to go back and have another tilt at the Melbourne Cup. But he'll hurdle this season.
Okay, Ronan. Thanks for calling in.
Worries,
Thanks, Ronan in Battersea. I mean, that Melbourne Cup, heartbreaking. I mean, you should have won.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
These things happen.
And Peter says, Rich is totally upstaging you tonight with the gags, Matt. Rough dog joke, you didn't get that at all. I did. But I'm not going to entertain a man who sits there calling me orange and things like that. So, right. I mean, I'll let some of those Richie jokes go over the top of my head. And Stu says that he reckons you should co-anchor ITV.
Yeah, I'm not sure ITV would feel that way.
No, I'm not either, but anyway.
I know, for a while there, you forgot we were on ATR. You were
I
so far up Ed's
I know exactly where my bread and butter is, thank you.
I was wondering where it was going to end. I thought you were going to propose marriage there for a while. That was pretty over the top, wasn't it? Crikey. Anyway, crack on.
When are you off? Is Richie's taxi ready yet?
Yeah.
Personally, I thought an 8-seater was a bit excessive, but anyway, that's what he said he must have, these divas. Right. We're going to Warrington. We're going to Alex. Good evening, Alex.
Hello, Matt. Hello, Rich.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm all right, you?
Good, man.
Quick one.
Well done. Thanks.
We've talked a lot about horses, but as a punter, where would your money be going now? 2 horses for Cheltenham. Where would your money be going down?
It's a simple question, Rich Ricci.
I don't know what the odds are, but could you have? And again, there's not a lot of long-term value at Cheltenham. I think Min each way to win the Arkle would be a decent bet. He must be 8s or 10s. That would kind of be my bet. Everything else is probably too short, and we don't know where they're going to head. So that would probably be my bet, I reckon.
Okay.
And he's spot on. Minnie's 8-1.
Is he?
Yeah.
And maybe, that would be my bet, I think. Yeah.
Funny enough, it's been shortened up, Min, by 3 firms today.
Has it been?
But it is.
What price is American Tom for the JLT? That'd be another one I might have a flyer at.
Just off the top of my head, do you think I know this stuff?
I don't know.
How the hell do I know what price American Tom is? I'm not even sure if they're priced up, are they? American Tom JLT, let's just see. I don't even know if there are odds on it. There are. American Tom for the JLT doesn't even exist.
Sorry about that. I probably just killed whatever price you were going to get. But he'd be another one.
American Tom be installed as favourite for the JLT. The favourite at the moment is York Hill, a stable companion.
Great horse, very good horse.
So Graham Wiley's just thinking, I'm going to change tack
be
now.
tough to beat. I'm saying
Richie
each
says
way.
he's going to win it with American Tom.
Each way. But anyway, it's tough to get value. But those are two off the top of my head.
So everyone is now on the phone to their bookmaker saying, could you quote me a price, please, for American Tom in the JLT? God's honor truth, I've gone through the whole list. It's not...
He only had one run last year, you know.
Well, it's not even
Bit of
mentioned.
each way value, that's all.
According to the bookmakers, it doesn't even exist,
There
Richard.
you go.
Crikey. Let's go to Richard. He is on line 1 in Watford. Good evening, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Matt, how are you? All
Very
right?
good.
Nice
You
to talk
sound
to you.
sort of chirpy, Richard.
Oh, yeah, I'm really chirpy. Nice to talk to you both.
Good.
I really enjoyed the Cheltenham preview last year. You both was on there and was absolutely fantastic. Are you doing it again, and can you get me a ticket?
Enough. Which one?
We are doing it again.
It was at the Strand.
We are doing it again. It's March 1st.
Right.
Well, don't know what the venue is yet. Probably the same one as last year, but we are doing it March 1st. So mark your diary.
March the 1st, and you absolute class, Rich Ricci, I must say that, and congratulations to all your good horses, and I'm really sorry about that tour.
Thank you, Richard. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Richard, that was a good call. I like that call. Thanks for calling in. Always nice to get the complimentary ones in. We must be filtering off the bad ones. Line 5. Who's on line 5? It is Eamon. Good evening, Eamon.
How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing fine. You don't... Oh, Eamon, you've been on before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because you're not from London, are you?
Actually.
You're not from London, are you?
I'm not from London, of course. I'm not from London.
Yeah. What would you like to say? Come on.
I'm living in London. I'm the breeder of any power.
Is the breeder of any power?
Yes.
It is Eamon. I've met Eamon. It's that Eamon. It's your...
Yeah.
He's the breeder of your horse.
Hi, Eamon. Yes, I know who he is.
How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, I just want to wish you the best of luck this year with her going hurling again. And I would have loved to have seen her going chase, obviously, myself. But that's only a personal thing. But really the best of luck to you and the team. And it's been a tough week and everything. But we've had a tough week, a couple of weeks, I suppose. But just want to wish the whole team the best of luck for the year and for the season.
Eamon,
well, that's
very great to see the colours again.
Well, that's very kind of you, Eamon. And listen, thank you for breeding Annie Power. And let us know when you've got the next one. But
always probably have a better one at home. Matt, also, I'd like to wish you the best of luck in your new role as well. And,
you're very kind. Tell me something, Eamon, though, because you're crucial to this whole shebang. As the breeder of Annie Power, what really should Richie be doing with the horse?
Oh, well, that's his own decision anyway. But
no, forget about it. Answer the question, man.
Yeah, okay. I really would have loved to see her go and chasing.
Right. That's what you bred her to do.
I didn't breed her to do that, actually. I better thought she'd win the Prix de l'Arc.
I agree with Eamon. I think that if we had a clear run in one of those earlier years, we probably would have gone chasing with her. But it's just too late now, and I wouldn't want to risk her. But it's a shame. I think if we had it a year or two earlier, Eamon, you're right, we would have gone chasing with her. She'd make a hell of a chaser. She's got the build for it, that's for sure.
Yeah. She's just a real beauty, you know, and I would have loved to see her making history or trying to make history again, you know.
Well, we might make it anyway by winning the champion hurdle twice.
Yeah, well done anyway.
Well done. Thank you, Eamon. Cheers.
Okay, well done. Bye.
I'm being told American Tom is 25s with Bet365, but it could be better prices than that with other firms. So, of course, shop around. Don't just lump on there. Are we going to take one more, I think, and then we're going to let Rich go because he's... to be fair to Rich, you'd stay all night, wouldn't you? But there has to come a point where we close up shop. We've gone on 21 minutes longer than we should have done and completely ruined the schedule for the rest of the night. Right, so our last call will be the excellently named Matthew in Belfast. Good evening, Matthew.
Hello, I've just got a wee question for Rich here, Matt.
Yes.
Sure. Matthew, how are you?
How's it going? Just if you had a horse to pick each for the Supreme Neptune and Albert Bartlett this year coming.
Sorry, I missed that.
Say that again, Matthew. Translate that for us.
If you had one horse each for the Supreme Neptune this year and the Albert Bartlett.
One horse for the Supreme or the Neptune, Rich.
Yes. I'd say, from what I know at the moment, Senawalk would be probably for the Supreme. And maybe something like, well, I'll tell you what, not necessarily for the Neptune, but Bapaume for the Triumph might go well. He's a nice type. But Center Walk's probably the best of what I've seen. But again, so, you know, he could blow up. We could see something come out and really put in a great performance. But I'm sure Willie will have lots of other novices as well. But that would be mine, Matthew.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks for calling in. We're wrapping it up now. Just a couple of horses that a lot of people have asked about.
Yeah, sure.
Not necessarily going to be the most exciting of your horses, but Thomas Hobson, what's the latest on him?
I think Thomas Hobson, Semper Medici, Renetti, those types. I think we'll try and mix them up, in Grade 2, Grade 3 hurdles. Renetti will obviously continue to run on the flat again next season, but Hobson's a good horse. He needs some cut in the ground, and I think that they'll compete those Grade 2, Grade 3s over here as well. They may have to travel over here, but that's not a problem. He won last year at Warwick in a nice, I think it was a Grade 2 race. And
I must just mention Rod Street, man in charge of British racing just about these days. He's loved the show tonight and said you're absolutely fantastic.
He's a nice man.
That's nice. And I must just mention one other horse.
Yep.
And I'm actually, despite the abuse you've thrown at me, and quite rude at times this evening, but I am actually...
You act like that's not deserved, but anyway, go on.
But I'm actually going to do you a favour now.
Okay.
Because your racing manager is watching.
Yes.
And you've not mentioned a horse called Sumneck at all.
Oh, right, yes.
And to go without mentioning the horse that is named after your racing manager, I feel is something that you shouldn't do.
He was Willie's dark horse in his Racing Post stable tour. Look, he couldn't win a bumper. He finished second, I think, 3 times, and then was fourth at Punchestown. But he looks a chaser. I'm sure staying novice hurdles this season, and then we'll move on to chasing with him next year. But he's a fine big type. He might not have been fast enough to win a bumper, but he'll win his share of
I think he's all right.
He's all right.
I do. I think in a normal stable, you'd be quite like him, sort of thing.
He is. I think he'd be a very, very good chaser. Some horses can't win bumpers.
No.
They're just not fast enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's on the line. We are back for a new series. Of course, we'll be back every Monday evening. I can't guarantee it will always be quite as spectacular as this because, quite simply, Rich Ricci won't be on every Monday. But, Rich,
that's
I think
very kind of you.
From everyone watching, we're all sad to lose Vautour, but your words about Robbie and Freddie, etc., very much put that into perspective. And just brilliant the way you talk about racing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Best of luck to you and the ITV.
And at the races.
And at the races.
Yeah. Every job I need luck. Trust me. I just need luck.